It's been an action-packed week in the US. Things are taking a dangerous turn in the president's impeachment trial, but the man himself is busy with something else. Donald Trump is hosting Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and his rival Benny Gantz in Washington. The three wise men, quote-unquote, are discussing the much-touted Palestine peace plan, and they're set to even make an official announcement. The talks are being trumpeted as historic, despite minuscule chances of actually creating history. And it all began with President Trump welcoming Prime Minister Netanyahu to the White House. Trump's plan, not surprisingly, is expected to be extremely favourable to Israel.
Well, thank you very much. It's an honor to have Prime Minister Netanyahu, a great friend of mine and a great friend of our country. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. President, I just want to say two things. First, that the deal of the century is the opportunity of a century, and we're not going to pass it by.
And even before the first press conference of this shindig got over, Donald Trump was asked the obvious question: what about the Palestinians?
Speak to the Palestinians about your plan, to the Palestinian president, because there are reports.
We will be reporting on that tomorrow. It's something they should want. They probably won't want it initially, but I think in the end they will. I think in the end they're going to want it.
Oh, the minor detail about the Palestinians. He doesn't like being asked about that. Also in Washington is Benny Gantz, Israeli centrist party leader. He turned down a joint appearance with Netanyahu at the White House, fearing that the Prime Minister would use it to upstage him politically back home. Gantz met Trump separately, and those talks went off rather well, we are told, with Gantz praising Donald Trump to the high skies for drafting the peace deal.
I just completed an important and exceptional meeting with the President of the United States, Mr. Donald Trump, a true and courageous friend of the State of Israel.
As he left, Gantz apparently told one reporter that he had a quote-unquote superb meeting with Trump. But he would not divulge any details of this conversation. Gantz has committed to help implementing the peace plan after Israel's election in March this year. Speaking of which, Gantz, upon his return to Israel, has his own plan in place, and that is to block a request by Netanyahu calling for immunity from prosecution. It's a massive corruption case which could have a serious impact on the outcome of this election. This election, by the way, is Israel's third election in the last 1 year. They've not been able to vote a majority and to form a government. But getting back to the peace plan, although the Palestinians have dismissed Trump's plan without even seeing it, it's not the first time that such peace efforts would fail. Palestinian peace has been a staple poll pitch of every American president. In the year 2000, President Bill Clinton convened a meeting between Palestinian leader Yasser Arafat and Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Barak at Camp David. They failed to reach an agreement. And another Palestinian uprising followed soon after. Between the year 2002 and 2003, George W. Bush became the first U.S. president to call for the creation of a Palestinian state. The plan was endorsed by many nations, presenting a roadmap to a permanent two-state solution to the conflict. In 2007, Bush held a Middle East summit in Annapolis, but that did not amount to much either. In 2010, amid pressure from the Obama administration in the U.S., Netanyahu imposed a 10-month moratorium on West Bank settlement construction. But talks broke down again after Netanyahu refused to extend this moratorium. In June last year, the Trump administration took an economy-first approach. They called for a $50 billion investment fund to boost the Palestinian and neighboring Arab state economies. But at the same time, Netanyahu threatened to annex West Bank settlements and much of the Jordan Valley during his election rallies. And a little later, the U.S. effectively backed Israel's claim on its right to build Jewish settlements in West Bank, abandoning the 4-decade-old American position that they were inconsistent with international law. The White House just cannot atone for decades of distrust and violence.